beating poverty will not just be an aspiration. It will be a theory of change to build a new economy that includes everyone, where we reward hard work, we care for the most vulnerable among us, we unleash the potential of all our children, and protect the planet, which is the victim of global warming, and so we can live on. Where we build a country where you don't just survive, but you're able to thrive and grow. And I want to be part of your movement.
Seeing in each other a family member, a child, a friend, a mother, a father. And so when I talk about and think about then policy in that context, it is everything that I think about when I think about why I support Medicare for all. It is everything I talk about and think about when I say we need to lift up working families. We need to see what is happening in our country and treat our fellow human being as we would our neighbor, as we would want for ourselves.
Hi, my name is Mark Pringle, and I'm a fourth-generation family farmer who lives with my wife, Mary Jane, and my father, Lorne, here in southeastern Kansas. We raise grain crops and cattle. Suicides have increased amongst farmers. The market pressures impacting farmers and their operations are affecting not just the health of our farm economy, but also the health of those who live in rural communities.
There's a new chemical company that's producing another carcinogen. In our community, it's amazing the people who just started dying of cancer. And when my wife was diagnosed with cancer, I was amazed at the black women that would ring our doorbell and walk in the door and pull a wig off to show my wife that I have it too.
During this pandemic, I worked as a server with Waffle House, making only $3.10 an hour plus tips. But like so many essential workers, I never had sick days, I never had any hazard pay, I never had any health care.
There's been no federal help, no state help to fix this and clean up the lagoons.
So the problem is that in these communities, they've applied these cheap fixes that don't work. And with climate change, it's gotten worse.
It's only gotten worse.
So if you
because of big downpours.
Because of downpours, every time it rains, you have a problem, right? The woman that's across the street, when it overflows her yard, it's full of raw sewage.
I got tired. I fought it down. I had no way to fight no more. I have no way out. The federal government have failed everything. Nobody cares about us. Did you hear me?
For over 500 years, Native Americans have suffered. From the beginning to where I stand today and for those yet to come.
That's one thing we're fighting right now. When Congressman Gosar of Arizona said that Native people are still the wards of the government.
But it's also really, really sad about the loss of 11 people in my family. My cousins, they continue to talk about the fact that their aunties and uncles have died. And it's really stressful and sad to listen to them talk about how they weren't able to see them. And the thing that makes it even more angry, the fact to see that people aren't walking around with masks and they're not social distancing in the way that they should.
Did you know that there are 45 million immigrants in the United States? 11 million of them are undocumented. Did you know that undocumented immigrants pay more in taxes than the wealthiest 1%, but they are blocked from public services?
A lot of our tenants are facing evictions. A lot of our community members don't have enough money to put food on their tables. And we have community members that cannot afford to go to the hospital even when they're getting sick.
We must be honest about the foundations of the political and economic systems we call America. I love America because of her potential, but I know that America will never even get close to being a more perfect nation until we are honest about the politics of rejection.
I want to tell you about some of the leaders who are building the Poor People's Campaign. Callie Greer from Selma, Alabama, who had to bury her daughter, Venus, because she didn't have health care.
I'm here today to share my daughter's Venus's story. Venus discovered a small lump in her breast and she wasn't insured. Venus had to be approved for every prescription and every piece of medical equipment that she needed. I'm standing here today in solidarity with the Poor People's Campaign because no one should have to bury their child in America because they don't have health care insurance.
I'm 46 years old. I've lived in poverty here in West Virginia every day of my life. And I'm working. I am working poor with a bachelor's degree. I'm doing the best I can with what I have.
I'm a second-generation fast food worker, and I've experienced the cycle of poverty firsthand. Growing up, I watched my mother endure long hours of back-breaking labor, doing everything she could to feed me and my sisters. My employer barely pays me enough to pay rent and utilities, let alone with the medical expenses with my mother.
I worked 41 years in the coal mines. I have black lung, and it's just unfathomable what these poor coal miners have to go through in order to get what they have worked for and deserve.
I'm a Vietnam veteran. My only chance of going to college was joining the Army.
It was one thing to know that you didn't have water and you couldn't afford your water. It's a whole nother to find out that they shut off your entire community and none of you matter.
But when I lost my housing, healthcare, and income all at the same time, I was terrified, panicked.
Hi, my name is Pamela Roach. I'm from Lowndes County, Alabama, and I live in a mobile home with my 2 kids. And I got raw sewage. I don't have no money on power. And I have to travel back and forth to Birmingham to take my daughter with the CPAP machine. Don't have a car and don't have no way to take her.
This is the largest encampment in Aberdeen. There's about 1,000 people in a town of 16,000 who are homeless.
In my community, we were all shut off for the day because none of us could afford our water bills. In the past, my family wasn't able to afford electricity in the winter. It was very hard on all of us.
This wall, this is sin of the highest order.
1/3 of the electorate is poor and low wealth. And yet many times we don't even hear poor and low wealth discussed in our political discourse.
Healthcare, living wages, equitable education, immigrant rights, demilitarization of our world and our communities.
And so poor and low wealth people, they can become a pulling point for the rest of the nation. It is in fact what can and will save this democracy and our nation from falling into further crisis.
And we are uniting around our moral policy agenda to heal and transform America.
There are 140 million poor and low wealth people in this country, almost half of this nation. And any nation that ignores half of its people is in a moral and economic crisis.